I'm Phil and this is my Toyota Hilux Ute, and I'm not going to show you anything about the car next door system. You can see that on their video. I just want to show you a few things specific to this Ute so you can use it to your best advantage when you hire it. And so we'll start with the Lyco lifter at the back, which is the 300k lifter you can use if you've got to move a fridge or something heavy. So first, there's a tub in here which has all the straps, which we'll get to in a minute, and in the bottom of the tub, under all the straps, is the handle for the lifter. Just keep it in the bottom because it does say on the handle here, do not store loose in the vehicle or injury may occur, so that's why I've got it down the bottom of the tub. Okay, this is the winding handle. Now we'll go back to the lifter and we'll show you how it works. First thing you've got to do, we'll put this down for a sec, is you've got to undo it here. Very light action on these handles, just one finger is all it takes. If you've got to force it at any time, handle and it folds down. Now when you come to fold it back up, I'll show you this straight away before we go any further, these tend to drop down like that. No matter what you do, you will not be able to put it back up unless that's up. This has to be above the latch on the lifter, like so. So now we've got the lifter unlatched. It just hinges down like so, and then this unfolds. Now see how this is not dropping down? It slides along the hinge. Just give it a tiny bit of a tap and it will drop down. It's just a little bit of play. Okay, now that it's unfolded, you see that it's completely flat at the bottom of the tray. So if you're carrying something long like a 3 metre sheet of drip rock, this is 2.4 metres, this is 600. So you can legally drive like this, put the long sheet right to the end, as long as it's tied down with your phone. So when you're going to use the lifter, just take your handle, this goes into this hole on the left hand side, just turn it a little until it engages, and then it's just simply a case of winding it. So that's anti-clockwise, and down it goes all the way down. I've taken the tow bar out so there's nothing in the way. So as soon as the cables go slack, that's as low as it goes. Got the sack truck there, so you take your fridge or whatever it is that's heavy that you're loading up. Now one trick, don't have your fridge on this side, or if it's anything that will poke out in the way of the handle, otherwise you won't be able to wind it up. So then clockwise to wind it up. Even with a heavy load, because there's such leverage, you can wind it up easily with one person. You might have to pull it out slightly if you're on a bit of a slope. So when you're finished with the lifter, then you just fold it up like so, like that, making sure the two clasps are up, down like that, and you're done. Okay, the next thing I'd like to show you is the sides of this Ute. These are much higher than you'll see most Utes that have just a fixed low side to them. So the way to undo these is there's two latches like this. Just simply turn them both like that, and then it folds down. Now, just a few points with this. Number one, if you're on uneven ground, see how that is relatively close to the ground. If you're on uneven ground, a bit of a slope or a bit of a hump, that could jam on the ground, right? Even if it's close to the ground, if you then load up the Ute, springs will go down on the back and that'll jam the side, and then you will not be able to get the side up without unloading the Ute again. So just make sure it's got plenty of clearance underneath. And the other thing is that, see these hinges? It's designed to slide along the hinge a little bit. So if you're on a slope forward or back, when you go to close it, if it's touching here and it won't close, it's because it's slidden along the hinge a little bit. So just give it a tap either direction you need so that it clears the latches. And then just goes back in like so. Now one other thing, when we get to strapping, if you're strapping over this, don't put huge force, don't strap really tight. You'll wreck the sides and you'll wreck the catches, okay? So just be careful when you're strapping not to overstress the sides. And that's all there is to know about the sides. Okay, so in this tub there's 5 of these big yellow tie straps and 2 smaller orange ones. So we'll just use this yellow one and show you how these things work. You're welcome to use ropes, there's no problem, but these things are quicker and they're way stronger and they're also wider, so they put less strain on any one point. And just on that, if you're doing something like a cupboard or whatever, there's a little bit of old cardboard here, you just put that on the corner like so. You know, if your cupboard's there, put that on the corner where the strap's running over it, and it'll spread the load and stop damaging whatever it is that you're tying down. Okay, so here's the straps. They come in two parts. First we'll show you how to put on these internal tie hooks. So we'll hook one end over. If something is too big, we'll just go back here and show you. See how this is too big to go on the hook? What you do there is you just tie it. Just use a half hitch like so. And just tie it on like that. Okay, so anything that's too big for the hook, go over, you just tie. So, go over to the hook, and just chuck this over that side for now. So, just have it that way. So the handle is down, that's when it's open. The handle is largely closed and it's facing the way that you want to tie. Now untangle your strap like so and then go through like this. Doesn't matter what mess you're making on the pile of it, but you're making sure it's not twisted all the way, like so. So you know that once that threads through, it won't be twisted. Now it has to thread through here. You simply go through there and back over. That's it. It's as simple as that. Pull it through. Now the important thing about these tie straps is not to have them winding round in a huge ball. The way you can jam it, if you have that wrap round and round that ratchet, that's the easiest way to jam it. So you get it tight before you start ratcheting it on. Okay, so you're taking up the slack, so it's nice and tight already. And then just a couple of turns, like so. And you can feel that and hear it. That is really tight. That is very, very tight. It's just a few clicks, not even a half a wind. Very, very strong. Now the way you undo it, so you've done that, you've got to your destination, you pull this handle there and you flick it open and you'll hear it click, like so. Once it's clicked, it's released, and see it's just pulling through. And if that's at too much of an angle, it might jam. But you simply just pull it through all the way until it's unstrapped. That's it, simple as that. Now, if you're tying down a small load like we did with that sack truck example, just use those internal tie hooks in the tray. They're embedded in the tray and they fold down. But if you've got a really big load, and it's important that it needs to be higher in the sides, and probably something that can come right out and fill the width of the ute, then you can strap using these rails here. And so I'll just show you quickly how to do that. As I mentioned before, these are too wide. You can't hook that hook onto that rail. So just do a half hitch, which is like so, and Google how to do knots if you don't know how to do that. Likewise, if you're using the rope, the truckies hitch is the best knot. And then just curl it up, chuck it over the top. Obviously whatever load you've got will be poking up here in the middle, and then once again this one actually has a loop, so you can put it in the loop, you don't have to tie it. With this, put this down first, and it needs to go that way, okay? Because it's going to feed in from the top. So that just simply loops through there. As long as you keep that taut before you pull it tight, that will stay there just fine. And then you just hook that through as we did in the other example, and away you go. But don't do it, especially in the middle, without something supporting this on the inside, because otherwise you'll crush the sides. This puts huge amounts of pressure on the sides. Okay, now I'll show you how to use the racks. These are very good for carrying timber, guttering, any sort of long thing, maybe long blinds or whatever. So the rear rack lifts off. This is aluminium, so it's much lighter than it looks. And if you are going to take this off because you're carrying something tall, then just chuck it in the back of the ute to carry. It just slots straight in. It's very precise. There's no tricks required. There's no bolts. There is provision for fastening bolts, but we don't use them. It won't come off. Okay. Now these back two racks, you see there's two matching rear alloy racks. So they're about 2.4 metres apart, so anything 2.4 metres or longer you can carry across these racks. When you carry something on the rack, say you're carrying 12 bits of timber, don't stack them like 2 high and 6 wide. You need to stack in a bit of a pyramid so that when you strap it down, pressure goes across all of the things that you're carrying. If you just carry things in a flat load like that, the middle ones won't have any pressure on them from the strapping and they could fall out. So just be aware of that. Also, butt it up against these side pegs so that they don't slide off. Don't carry anything outside that peg. Now, if you contact me via the page on Car Next Door, if you're going to carry something really long, and by really long I mean longer than 5.4 metres, then we have this additional rack, and I'm not leaving this in the back because it would be too expensive if someone stole it, and I would hate to have to get another one made. So we've got this additional rack, and I'll show you how you use that. If you ask for this, I'll put it in the morning before you hire the vehicle the night before, so it'll be in the back of the tray. Okay? So it just slots in here. Now this one's not quite so precise. If you have a look down here, you'll see that it's actually, looks like it's not going to fit. This is made from steel, so this is very heavy. It's probably about 20 kilos. So anyway, either way, it doesn't matter. Put one side in and then just pull it over like that. And then it takes a bit of a wriggle and it's in. Simple as that. Now if you sight along here, you'll see that this is the same height and level as the front racks, and this lets you go from overhanging the front to the back and carry things legally up to about 7.5 metres. Now there's RMS regulations that you can read on what you can and can't carry and how much you can overlap. Just one other thing, if you're carrying big sheets or whatever, anything on this side of the rack, just put the aerial down, otherwise it will get squashed by whatever you're carrying. As it says here, these back two racks are rated to 350 kilos. I would say with the front rack, it can easily carry half a tonne. Obviously, and I've carried that much and more on the racks, when you're driving with half a tonne suspended above your head, it's not going to handle quite as well. It'll roll on the corners, so just go a bit slower around the corners. If you do have a flat tyre or a mishap, there is a jack here. I think you're supposed to ring Car Next Door, but just so you know, just lift up the seat lever like that. There's a brand new jack in there. Also these blankets are for wrapping up whatever you're carrying, so please fold them up and put them back there. And just one other thing that I didn't show you before, it comes in this tub, is 12 furniture straps like this. So these are long straps, and what you do with these is you wrap they will untangle, believe me, but you wrap the blanket around the furniture and then put the strap around the blanket, and that holds it in place so it doesn't blow away in the wind. And finally, just talking about wind, when you're driving along, if there's anything like plants or anything you're concerned about with the wind, put them in the front part of the tray here, right behind the cab. With the sides up, it's very sheltered from the wind. Don't put anything vulnerable right at the back by the tailgate. It's definitely a lot more windy at that end. So anything you're worried about, stick it right up the front. Also, just talking about the loading, if you're carrying something really heavy, once again, tie it up, carry it right behind the cab. It's more centered over the two axles. Don't carry something super heavy right at the back. And one more thing, behind the seat on this side is a big sheet of thick plastic, so if it is raining and you need to cover up whatever you're carrying, just grab that out from behind the driver's seat.